And much later, aides arraigned over the violence during the Ablekmo North rerun election, case adjourned to August 29. We'll tell you more on that shortly. Details of these and other stories, please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. I am Enyonam Haligah. Now to our first story. Security analyst Richard Kumado says the Inspector General of Police presence in the Saula Tuna Kalba district is crucial as residents see the police as their only source of safety. He stressed that beyond security deployment, support is needed for vulnerable women and children who have been displaced. Kumado added that those behind the violence land attacks must be arrested and prosecuted to prevent further escalation.
I wasn't surprised at all IGP has gotten into the community. One way of curbing crime is to engage the community and the community leaders. And I believe that is what he's doing. To the extent that the villagers are running away from their homes, you will need a bit more men on the ground. But it goes beyond security protection, it goes beyond safety guarantees. The vulnerabilities of the people, their discomfort is also a major issue. And this is where you would need NADMO and some other supporting agencies in that regard to come to the aid of the women and children in particular. Presence of the police will help, or presence of law enforcement officers in general, whether a combination of the police and the military, will be of great help. It serves as deterrent. Then the community leaders speaking to their people, engaging community leaders village by village. Then the presence of the IGP also means that whatever resources the security agencies will need to get the job done, they will. Going forward, they will need to plan it in such a way that those behind this particular attack and the spread of it are brought to book. If you leave them, just like this land issue came up the first time and nothing was done, wherever they are hiding, they will come back to town again after the police have left the place. So in as much as we are assuring them and we are guaranteeing their safety and security in whichever form and shape, those behind this particular criminality will need to be brought to book. And that is the only way this whole heinous crime can be, stopped permanently for some time.
Security analyst Richard Kumado there. Now, with Oti region recording over 10,200 confirmed cases of typhoid fever in the first half of 2025, the Oti Regional Environmental Health Officer, Cynthia Setre, confirms it is due to poor sanitation and lack of potable water. She explained that despite 6 months of hygiene education, communities are still not complying, promoting authorities to inaugurate a 21-member task force to enforce sanitation laws. Madam Setre noted that the highest prevalence has been recorded in Karachi East and Karachi West districts.
It is true that in Oti region we lack potable water, and it is also for the fact that a lot of the houses are also, and the individuals in the various communities and districts are practicing poor sanitation and measures. We as a regional coordinating council have put in measures, and so it's a public health concern. It is true people are getting, the mortality is there, the mobility is also there. And so the Regional Coordinating Council decided that, look, let us intensify our hygiene education, of which we have done that for about 6 months. Interestingly, people are still not responding, and therefore we decided that we are going to intensify the law. And so 21 task force members have been inaugurated last week, and we are shooting the ground so hard from next week Tuesday. We will do less talking, but more of the enforcement of the Public Health Act and the Criminal Code. High prevalence rate is from Karachi West and Karachi East.
That was the Oti Regional Environmental Health Officer Cynthia Setre there. Now, the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana is raising alarm over what it calls illegal and mafia-style auctioning of perishable goods at the country's port. In a statement, the association expressed concern that the persistent scarcity of foreign exchange is crippling businesses, forcing many importers to miss deadlines for clearing goods. It says consignments are now being pushed onto the uncleared cargo list with legally required 60-day grace period reduced to 21 days. The group alleges that politically connected businessmen wait for the shorthand window to lapse, after which the goods are auctioned off without due process. Importers are left to pay demurrage on goods they have never cleared, while the new buyers only pay service charge for shipping lines. The association is demanding that government immediately restore the 60-day grace period, allow first-time clearance option for importers facing forex challenges, and probe the cartels alleged to be benefiting from the system. Executive Secretary of the association, Samson Asaki-Awengobet, warns that failure to act will cripple local business, erode investor confidence, and further destabilize the economy. Now, the Deputy Presidential Spokesperson, Shamima Muslim, says the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo must follow due process to entrust the institution to deliver on her mandate. Speaking at the National Dialogue on the implementation of Ghana's affirmative action, she encouraged women not to deter from public scrutiny, but step up confidently into leadership and governance role.
Every female that is in this arena, they will always receive a disproportionate amount of scrutiny. And so that cannot be a deterrent for those who still want to serve. CJ Torkornoo has not been the only female Chief Justice that we have had in this country. When in doubt, I say follow the law and due process. That would always be your best alibi. As for every individual that is facing a certain legal process, you have the right, even a duty upon yourself, to defend yourself and to seek all avenues to defend yourself. And I think that the Chief Justice has opted to use all the avenues at her disposal to try and tell her story. At the end of the day, we must trust the same institution that she headed to do right by Ghana, by her.
Deputy Presidential Spokesperson Shamima Muslim there. Now, the Narcotics Control Commission has arrested the main suspect behind the attempted trafficking of 7 slabs of cocaine, weighing a total of 8 kilograms through Swiss Airport at the Kutka International Airport. The illegal drug consignment was intercepted during separate attempts on August 13 and 14 en route to the United Kingdom. Preliminary investigation reveals sophisticated concealment intended to bypass security checks at the airport. According to NACOC, the suspect was apprehended following detailed surveillance and intelligence-led operations. Authorities believe the individual plays a critical and central role in an international drug trafficking network operating between West Africa and Europe. The suspect is currently in custody and assisting with investigation, while the NACOC has assured the public of its commitment to clamping down on narcotics smuggling and strengthening airport security protocols. Now, finally, before we go, President John Dramani Mahama has expressed confidence in Ghana partnering Singapore's Institute of Technology to understand local experiences in higher education. Speaking earlier at a business summit, he outlined 5 areas of possible investment, including agriculture and education, where he expects Singapore to tap into.
Champions of open markets, trusted rules, trade rules, and practical partnerships that deliver jobs, technology transfer, and shared prosperity for our people. I speak today as an African leader and as President of Ghana, and our message is simple. Africa is investable, and Ghana is your reliable gateway to that continent.
President John Dramani Mahama there. That'll be all for this morning's bulletin. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. Business News is right up.
3FM.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM. Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Welcome to Business News here on Sunrise 3FM 92.7. Coming up this morning, Financial Aspects warns removal of capital threshold for foreigners could disadvantage local investors and worsen profits repatriation.
Maybe you want to do this for investment in factories and plastics and agro investments, but do you want to do this also for trading? Are we not making it even more difficult for Ghanaian businesses?
Also, President John Mahama urges global investors to back Africa's fintech revolution and the wider financial sector.
The Pan-African Payment and Settlement System to enable businesses to settle cross-border trade in our own local currencies. And this is where Singapore's strength can be catalytic to this process.
And much later, Ghana considers powerful gas swap with Nigeria.
And we are in discussions with Nigeria to see if we can have a battle where we take their gas, convert it to power, and export the power to Nigeria in the spirit of West African cooperation.
Bring your details of our headlines and other stories. Please stay with us. Now to our first story, the chief executive of Delex Filers has raised concerns that the removal of capital threshold for foreigners could have negative repercussions. Joe Jackson argues that the announcement by President John Mahama has the potential to disadvantage local investors as they will be unable to compete with foreigners favorably and lead to repatriation of profits.
The proposed amendment to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center GIPC Act aims to make the country more accessible to all investors, regardless of the size of their capital. The current GIPC Act 2013, Act 865, requires foreign investors to meet specific capital requirements, such as $200,000 for joint ventures, $500,000 for wholly foreign, and $1 million minimum for a trading company. The proposal is to abolish all the thresholds for foreign investors. Joe Jackson argues that this could open itself up to an influx of foreign businesses with cheap capital and make local business non-competitive.
And just maybe we could have done a sector by sector approach so that we could look at, do we want to do this for the traders? Maybe you want to do this for investment in factories and plastics and agro investments. But do you want to do this also for trading? Are we not making it even more difficult for Ghanaian businesses? And these are real questions. We're looking forward to that debate in Parliament as they try and revise the GIPC law and see and listen to the arguments that will be made. But obviously, some of us are worried. Maybe a sector-by-sector approach.
Joe Jackson warns that this could worsen the country's repatriation situation, where profits earned by foreign companies are sent out of the country and ultimately put pressure on the cedi.
We should also look at repatriation. If I bring in just $5,000, how much am I going to be able to repatriate of my earnings that go outside? If I bring in $5,000 and earn $10,000, can I take all the $10,000 out? And those are questions we have to ask, right? The intention is good. The benefits can clearly be seen, but sometimes we have to look at the policy very carefully.
This move highlights the ongoing challenge for policymakers to balance the need to attract foreign investment with the imperative to protect and nurture local businesses and maintain macroeconomic stability.
Moving on, President John Mahama has championed Africa as a prime destination for investment, highlighting its leadership in mobile money and fintech adaptation. He stressed that while the continent is ripe with innovative solutions a digital savvy population, a key obstacle remains the global financial architecture, inequitable and expensive lending practices towards low and middle income countries. Speaking at the opening of the 8th African Singapore Business Forum on Tuesday, President John Mahama made a compelling case for Ghana and the wider continent's financial sector.
Africa faces an annual financing gap estimated at $1.3 trillion. Infrastructure needs alone run between $181 and $221 billion per year, and the climate finance gap is about $213 billion annually. We're taking bold steps to build an African financial system that works for Africa, accelerate the African Monetary Institute as a precursor to the African Central Bank, and link 10 major stock exchanges through the African Exchanges Linkage Project to enhance liquidity. We're also scaling up the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System to enable businesses to settle cross-border trade in our own local currencies. And this is where Singapore's strength can be catalytic to this process. Singapore stands at the nexus of global finance, fintech, logistics, and green innovation. Your excellence in project preparation, blended finance, risk management, standards, and dispute resolution is precisely what African projects need to move from pipeline to bankable builds.
That was President John Dramani Mahama at the 8th African Singapore Business Forum in Singapore. Now to some energy stories. The Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, has hinted that a possible banter agreement in Ghana would exchange electricity for natural gas from Nigeria. Ghana has long rallied on Nigeria's gas to power its thermal plants, but the relationship has been strained in recent years due to payments delays. Speaking at the Future of Energy Conference, John Jinapor said the proposed swap deal aligns with the principles of inter-African trade.
Regional power integration to deepen our participation in the West African power pool, to strengthen resilience and cost effectiveness, is also witnessing significant milestones. So far, we supply power to Togo, we supply power to Burkina, we supply power to Cote d'Ivoire, and we intend extending to other neighboring countries. We also supply power to Benin. And so in the spirit of that cooperation, we believe that we can work together to take gas from Nigeria. And so what Ghana does is that we take the gas from Nigeria, we generate power and re-export. And we are in discussions with Nigeria to see if we can have a barter where we take their gas, convert it to power, and export the power to Nigeria in the spirit of West African cooperation.
Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor. Then now, before we go, let's take a look at how the cedi is faring against major trading currencies and how some key commodities are also faring on the global markets.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, the dollar is selling at 10 cedis, 96 pesos. It gained a peso. The British pound is selling at 14 cedis, 78 pesos. It recorded no price change. The euro is selling at 12 cedis, 78 pesos. It also recorded no price change. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $67.27 per barrel. It lost $1. Gold is trading at $3,390 per ounce, up by $24. Cocoa is trading at $7,613 per ton, down by $411.
And that was an update from the Forex and commodities markets. That will be all for business news here on Sunrise 3FM 92.7. For more business news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyonam Haligah. Sunrise continues.